My first question to you, Mr. Chatterjee, is what are the main factors contributing to the volatility of KPIs in a process plant?
Thanks for asking this question. So can I take a minute to, I'll come to this question, but your point of, yes, the KPIs indeed vary. That's what we have observed. But before I come to the factors, can I take a minute to explain that why these KPIs are important for the process industries and why these variations are an issue for the industry?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Please go ahead.
You see, at a generic level, any process industries have two primary concerns. One is to improve the productivity. The other is to reduce the cost. On the cost side, if one looks at it, the different components are, the raw material cost, the fuel cost, the power cost, then the manpower cost, the various costs which are there, and all these costs are actually increase over a period of time, and they're on a rising trend. There are some costs which rise more, which is increasing more than the other, but by and large, all the costs increase. So therefore, in order for the industry to remain competitive, the only way forward is to improve the efficiencies of the plant. And that's where the importance of these KPIs come in. And if such KPIs vary, it actually the industry goes through some difficulty. So the main causes, the two main broad reasons why these KPI vary. One is the inherent nature of the industry. For example, if I talk about product mix, so in a process industry, there are various product lines, and each of these product lines have different levels of energy intensity, right? So as the product mix vary, the overall energy intensity varies. So if I take the example of a KPI like energy usage ratio, energy usage ratio is the total energy consumed per unit of production. So these KPIs are mapped with respect to fuel separately and power separately. Fuel with respect to specific fuel consumption, and for power specific power consumption. Now, even if you kind of remove the product mix out of the equation, if you take it out of the equation, uh, uh, even then the KPIs vary. For example, one looks at the individual product line or even at an equipment level, then also we see the KPIs vary. And those vary primarily due to the inherent inefficiencies of the plant. For example, the topmost one which comes to my mind is the inadequate process control and improper process control. As one knows that, okay, the utility, the main purpose of the utility is to meet the process parameter. Now, we have often seen that the process parameters vary. And these process parameters, and they vary because of this lack of proper control. And as the process parameter vary, the operator tries to kind of manage it by changing the utility set points and all. And in the bargain, the the energy consumed increases, and hence the energy KPIs also kind of varies. The second thing is these plants actually process plants have varying loads, and because of whether it is because of seasonality or even over a period of a day, because it is a combination of batch process, continuous process, some processes coming in the at a startup time, some processes are running continuously, so the load of the plant vary. If the utility system is not designed to cater to these variations, then also the energy KPIs vary. Thirdly, it has to do with also the operation and maintenance practices, which is one of the main objective of the maintenance team is to maintain the uptime of the utility systems, the equipments, the accessories. If those are also not at the highest uptime level, it impacts the KPIs. Then there are environmental regulations which have come in. All of us are aware of this. And then many of the plants have to treat their effluents and the emissions, and it calls for energy consumption. Any variation in the, say, effluent treatment plant or the ZLD plant, it impacts not only the energy efficiency KPIs but also the productivity KPIs. And last but not the least, the if the KPIs are not monitored and the right parameters are not monitored on real-time basis, then one does not know how one is making a progress, and one is not able to take a real-time action, which leads to the variation in the KPIs. So these are the broad reasons why the KPIs vary. Mr. Chan.
Thank you. Thank you. My second question is, despite efforts to optimize utility usage, why does a significant gap remain between desired and actual performance levels?
So, yeah, I mean, it's true that there is a gap, but however, we also have to acknowledge the fact that over the years, the industry has actually worked a lot in terms of improving the performance levels or improving the KPIs. We have also been doing various benchmarking exercise at different points of time. If one takes a span of say 10 years or even 5 years, we see there is a marked improvement in what the KPI used to be, 10 years before or 5 years before versus what they are now. And those improvements happened on the back of very solid work which the industry have put in, whether it respect to changes in process, improvements in process, or with respect to products and technology, or even with respect to periodic energy assessment and implementation of those recommendations, or even by adopting the best practices, O&M practices. So in the KPIs in the first place have improved. Having said that, it is still not at the desired level. You're right. And the reason why these are not at the desired level is, you see, the process plant is pretty dynamic in nature. And when the utility meets the process, the various utilities, the dynamism is very high with respect to the changes which happen in a process plant on an ongoing basis is very high. Whether it is with respect to the changes in the input parameters, whether it is with respect to the change in the process recipe, whether it is with respect to the changes in say the quality of the fuel. So there are various changes which keep on happening, or with respect to addition of a new product or change in product mix. The situation is pretty dynamic in a process plant. So what happens that the intervention, if it happens on a one-time basis or even on an episodic basis, it is not good enough to actually cater to those dimension, the process, dynamic process variations which happen on ongoing basis and maintain the KPIs at the optimum level. So that's why, unless and until the KPIs are monitored, the parameters are monitored on real-time basis and actions taken, we have observed that in some cases the KPIs have improved, but they're not the industry is not able to sustain it, or in some cases even the KPIs have deteriorated. And you also have to take into account that process plant goes through various modifications, revamps, and expansions also. So all of this put together, I think this is primarily the reason why the KPIs vary and there is a gap, but also for the fact that the way forward is to monitor them on an ongoing basis and take actions on an ongoing basis.
Now, next question is, the question is in two parts. What advantages does analyzing real-time data from plants provide over traditional methods? And how does the shift from static to dynamic KPI monitoring impact plant operations?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, the real-time data. The biggest advantage is when we get real-time data, the level of understanding increases what we have of the plant. So when we get more data, we are able to, and the right kind of parameters when we are able to, the industry is able to correlate the how the process parameter vary and how the utility parameter varies with respect to the process parameter. So that correlation is one is able to draw. And and because of this, the biggest advantage is one sees a much bigger potential in terms of improvement. So that's, in my opinion, is one of the biggest advantage. And the second point is the overall understanding of the plant increasing actually as we get more data, and then the potential also increases. So this is a very virtuous cycle. And due to this, in my opinion, the benefit what the plant is able to get is much better when one looks at it on a dynamic basis. On a static basis, earlier what used to happen when I used to get data, the action used to be taken on a retrospective basis. The action, a real-time action, was not possible. Here, in this case, the impact is much better on the decision making with respect when you take the data on real-time basis and understand the dynamic variations of the plant, and you are able to do the correlation. And then the decision what you take is the right decision, and the timeliness of the decision is also what you do is on a real-time basis. So that's the benefit which the plant gets, and as a result, the plant is able to operate at a benchmark level within a very narrow, variation band.
Okay,
All
thank
the
you. Thank you.
that's
Quite
the benefit.
insightful. The last question is, what are the key components of Forbes Marshal's digital sustenance service, and how does this approach contribute to long-term operational efficiency and KPI management?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, that in order to actually understand the data on real-time basis and take action, it calls for domain knowledge. So the biggest component for Forbes Marshal's digital sustenance service is the domain knowledge. And this domain knowledge is something what we have acquired for over 75 years. Our core strength of steam engineering and process control, coupled with the process industry and application knowledge, what we have acquired by visiting numerous plants for so many years, and also by kind of visiting the same plant over and over again. So that domain knowledge and the ability to draw the correlation between and do the cause and effect analysis, I think that's, I would say, as the primary ingredient. The second thing is that the way we do is we do baseline study, we commit a KPI, we we then take the industry towards a roadmap of improving the KPIs, and then sustain the KPIs with go to action plans. All of this, and we do it through a services model, and all of this actually deepens the engagement through services. So that actually helps a lot in terms of delivering on the KPIs. So we commit the KPIs, we deliver the KPI and sustain the KPI. And thirdly, the we have a wide basket of products which are again digitally enabled, which complement the entire implementation process. So it's a combination of knowledge, domain knowledge, the deep engagement through services, and the wide product basket what we have, which are digitally enabled, is other three key ingredients what you can say for Forbes Marshall digital sustenance service.